I, 27 female, come from an extremely religious background, the kind where there are certain expectations and lifestyles you usually cannot get away from. However, I was fortunate because thanks to my academic success during high school and after a lot of support from my teachers, I could get away and go to an Ivy League university. That's where I discovered I was gay. I never came out, but I more or less drifted apart from my family over the years, mostly because I did not at all fit the description of their idea of an ideal woman. So we had a lot of issues and conflicts, including my lack of faith in religion that triggered them to keep contact with me to a bare minimum. They're not accepting of any same-gender relationship, and I thought I would spare them the toxic judgmental stares from people in their community. Therefore, I didn't let them know I was gay, that I was in love, or that I got married last year. I found out an old friend of a friend who knew us talked to my family about my wife and me. I only got a phone call from my oldest brother saying I was the filthiest idiot, a disgrace, and that I would be deemed dead from now on from my family's perspective. He also told me I stepped into another level of low by not telling them about my marriage, because then they could have cut contact sooner. My wife thinks that letting them know before we got married could have saved us a relationship with them. I've explained multiple times about the dynamic and why they told me what they did. However, I may have made a mistake. Should I have told them? Am I the idiot because I wasn't honest and lied to them for a year at least about my marriage? Your brother's call simply confirms that they aren't upset that you didn't tell them about the relationship and wedding from a, "We're hurt that you felt that you couldn't share this information with us, and we missed out on a beautiful memory of celebrating you and your wife" standpoint. They're upset because they couldn't repudiate you earlier with vile and hateful words. You made the right call by distancing yourself from your family. They don't sound like the type to set aside decades of misogynistic indoctrination because they choose to love and accept you unconditionally. And that is their loss. You are not the idiot. I hope that when your brother rang you and started calling you names, you laughed at him before hanging up in his ear. If your wife truly doesn't get it and keeps harping on about what you should have done differently, you might need to find a good therapist to help explain things to her. You've saved your wife a boatload of pain and emotional manipulation. She might feel that she lost something, but it's a rotten part. I was the filthiest idiot, a disgrace, and I would be deemed dead from now on in my family's perspective? Wow. Remember, all of this was said to you about being gay. Stepping into a new low, about the marriage that came after. Repeat it to your wife till she gets it. I'm sorry that your family sucks the big one, but good riddance to bad rubbish. You're free. Grieve as much as you need to, and just keep building your life with the family you're making and with the friends that truly love and accept you and become family over time. My guess is that the wife comes from a more accepting family and has no idea what it's like to come from a terrible family. Some reasonable people are unable or unwilling to understand how unreasonable others can be. They think that with enough explanation, anything can be overcome. They're wrong, but OP may have difficulty convincing her wife of this because such people are often highly committed to such views. I hope she eventually understands that not all families are like hers and that this was probably for the best. I, 18 female, will name my sister Evie, 23. Evie isn't a nice or pleasant person. She never wants to spend time with family, and she really isn't appreciative of when we do nice things for her. Evie takes us for granted. When my parents have Evie come to anything, she complains and makes things very unpleasant for everyone else. But then when my parents respect her wishes and let her stay home, which is most of the time, Evie will tell others how she was abandoned at home and that she's the black sheep of the family. I recently created an account on social media, and Evie's account was recommended to me since her phone number is obviously in my list of contacts already. Important note, Evie's account was her real name and face, so anyone who saw the account would immediately know who she was, and therefore who my parents and I are. I looked at Evie's account and saw that Evie had been posting lies about our parents and me using my real name, by the way. Evie basically wrote that we have narcissistic parents, and I'm the golden child, and she's the black sheep and scapegoat. Her evidence for this was stories where she deliberately left out context to make my parents look bad and herself like a victim. One example was her saying that I got to have twice as many extracurriculars as her and got to go to extracurricular activities 3 times a week, while she only got to go to one twice a month. I got 2 special lessons, one of them being speech therapy, which was a need and not an extracurricular, and my actual one extracurricular was art, which cost $12 a lesson. Her extracurricular activity was horseback riding, which cost over $100 a lesson. The money our parents spent on my art lessons every month wasn't even half the cost of Evie's horseback riding lessons. Another example was her saying that our parents didn't attend this specific event for her and never supported her passions. Evie told our parents she would have to do something embarrassing at that event and specifically asked that they didn't come. I could have tried to talk to Evie about this or kept the information to myself, but I was angry. So instead, I told our parents and showed them what Evie had been posting. Evie and my parents got in a big fight where they called Evie out for skewing the truth online to get clout at our expense. They gave her an ultimatum of either posting a public apology, deleting her account, or moving out. Evie deleted her account. I vented about everything that happened to my friend Mia. Mia said she knew Evie was skewing the truth, but that I screwed up by telling our parents because I gave my sister no opportunity to explain her side or change on her own. Mia usually gives good advice and good views on situations, so I'm worried she's right, and I was the idiot for telling our parents. Am I the idiot? Absolutely not the idiot. She's acting extremely entitled and has a victim complex. She's a grown adult woman who's had many years to change, and she needs to stop acting like a 14-year-old child. Telling your parents was the right thing to do, as she probably wouldn't have taken it down on her own anytime soon. I think she needs therapy to help her realize her actual situation. Evie wouldn't have changed if you had confronted her yourself, and she may well have escalated her lies. If she had been using pseudonyms, that would have been one thing, but with your real names attached, that's no joke. A 23-year-old should know better. Telling your parents and letting them deal with it was the best action in this case. How will she change on her own if she doesn't face the truth? She even chose to delete the account rather than tell the truth. So no, your friend is wrong. Okay, but why does Evie act like that? It's easy to say she's a spoiled narcissist, but I wonder what's her side of the story. OP's story sounds like every other single golden child's point of view I've ever heard, and I'm honestly guessing that Evie is at least somewhat of a glass child. Still, I don't agree with what she did. If she wanted to vent online, she could at least do that anonymously. Even better, she should have confronted your parents. I, 32 female, am a divorced mom of 2. My son is an older tween, and my daughter's a younger tween. My ex and I ended our relationship in 2017, and he remarried in 2021. His wife has no children of her own. This topic is the one that she approached a few times with me, starting when my ex first married her. She told me that now that they're a 2-parent household, I didn't need to attend all the games, recitals, plays, etc., because she would be going to them, and there only needed to be one. I ignored her because I've always gone to that kind of thing. I'm self-employed, so I can easily plan my working day around events for my kids. My kids also want me there. They always tell me about the more significant moments in their extracurriculars or school and tell me when I should be there or if I need tickets, etc. My ex goes when he can, which is not often, and he never goes to anything he doesn't consider big enough. My ex's wife mentioned to me again last year that she wanted to go alone, and I needed only to show up when it's my parenting time. Yet again, I ignored her request and continued showing up. My ex mentioned it to me also, and I told him that we could both go to their activities whenever we like, and the court order does not dictate it since it doesn't take parenting time to show up and support our children. My son had a recital a couple of weeks ago, and he told me they were asked if they could get parental volunteers. I said, of course I would do it. My ex's wife had asked when she was picking him up from his dance class one day if she could do more. They mentioned volunteers and she offered. We both arrived together, and she was upset the whole 2 hours we were helping out. She was especially upset when I stayed. Afterward, she told me that she's trying to create a special bond with the kids, but they'll never want her around as long as I'm there. And if I was a good person/mom, I would do the right thing and not show up every time and give her a chance to do it so she can show an extra effort for my kids. I told her I would always show up as long as my kids want me and as long as I can physically do it. She told me her relationship with the kids is important though, and I honestly told her it's not important to me and that my kids' wishes and relationship with them are more important. My ex's wife told me I was an idiot, and she called me a selfish and jealous baby mama and accused me of unreasonable hatred. My ex also gave me a hard time about it afterward. Not the idiot. I suggest you keep a record of her remarks, what she says, when and where, in case it's useful in a parental alienation claim in the courts. And to call you the baby mama is entirely weird, since it's intended as an insult. You are your children's mother, full stop. She's trying to push you out of your own kids' lives. She told me that now that they're a two-parent household, there was no need for me to show up. What a BS statement. Of course you're going to show up. You love your kids. You're their mother. She sounds unhinged and is trying to take your place as their mother. Oh dear, your kid's new stepmom's trying to replace you in their lives. Your ex needs to pull his head out of his arse. If you can, or if you have a good friend your kids trust, carefully find out how she treats them and how she talks about you when they're under her care. Record it if you can. You may need it. Your kids need their mom. You. I am not white. My husband is. We have 2 kids. This conflict concerns our oldest, Jack, kindergartner. My husband has a half-sister, Anne, 23 years old, that he's not very close to. However, she gets along very well with Jack. She sometimes offers to take him on an auntie-nephew date, which I allow as I trust her. She's great with Jack, and he adores her as well. Anne is getting married in a couple of weeks. We were all invited, but my husband couldn't get time off work, and my mother will be visiting that weekend too, so we won't be able to attend. Anne asked if we could at least let Jack attend, and that she and my mother-in-law would watch him. I was hesitant, but Anne and my mother-in-law told me not to worry about it. I agreed. Then Anne told me that her father would be attending the wedding. I was surprised because she hadn't contacted him for years, but they reconnected for her wedding. In my opinion, her father isn't a very good person. He's extremely racist and very headstrong about his beliefs. He's also easily convinced by certain kinds of media, and before we even knew he was attending the wedding, my husband showed me his Facebook post, and they were genuinely insane. I told Anne, I don't know if my son will be attending anymore. She got what I meant and told me that her dad wouldn't even be able to tell Jack isn't 100% white, so I have nothing to worry about. I mean, yes, my son is white passing, but with the current climate of things, I refuse to risk it. My son will sometimes speak my language, and he's not 100% aware that he has to be careful around certain people. Anne got upset and told me that nothing would happen and that I was being paranoid. She even compared my paranoia to her father's. She then told me to think about it rationally, as the venue is a public place filled with people. I apologized and said I can't let him go. She started shouting at me and said I was ruining her wedding. She wants to spend it with everyone she loves, Jack included, and I'm ruining that by being paranoid. She started crying, I think, before hanging up. My mother-in-law called me later, saying that she swears nothing will happen to Jack and to please get over it for Anne's happiness. I said no. She told me that she hoped I'm proud of myself for breaking Anne's heart. I do feel bad, and I suppose I am being paranoid, but am I the idiot? My husband is more hesitant about the decision, but ultimately agreed that we can't risk anything. Not the idiot. She's a white woman, and she showed her true colors. It didn't take her long to bust out the white woman's tears either. Protect your son. Even hearing what that man has to say without you there to reassure and love on him could mess him up in the future. You have a right to be paranoid. Not sure I'd even use that term. Rightfully concerned sounds better when it comes to your child's safety. You're absolutely right. He's a kindergartner. Even without all this, I would have had some hesitation about the situation. How on earth is the bride and mother of the bride going to be able to watch a 5-year-old? The mother-in-law is going to have the mother of the bride duties, and there will be many people there that OP doesn't know, especially since they aren't that close to the bride. OP, do whatever you think is best here. She said it herself. He won't even be able to tell Jack isn't 100% white, which implies that if he did find out, there would be issues, which makes me wonder if the other child whom she doesn't interact with looks more like you, OP. Stick with your guns, and if she's getting this worked up over pre-wedding stuff, then imagine what'll happen when Grandpa finds out little Jack is mixed and causes a scene on her big day. She'll probably find a way to blame you for it. She's inviting your child for selfish reasons. It feels like there's something more that she wants by having your son there, beyond the "I want to share it with the people I love" type sentiment. The kid is young. He will be bored stiff and will act up. She's got some ulterior motive beyond her stated intent. It wouldn't surprise me if she stated all sorts of things about how she's practically raised your son, and she would look bad if he weren't there, i.e. get caught on a lie. There's something more here. It was my teen male birthday yesterday, and I was opening the gifts that my parents had bought me. I've never been interested in sports. I find them really boring. I like painting and art way more, and my parents know that. Almost every birthday they give me sports-related gifts, football, some team merch, etc. I don't even know what some of it is because I could care less about sports. I asked my parents to get me a specific set of pens for my birthday. I've wanted them for ages. I opened my presents and every single one of them was sports-related. I just sat there and started crying in front of them. I didn't mean to cry, it was embarrassing, but I felt like they never listened to me. They've spent all this money on expensive gifts that they know I hate and will never use. I told them this, and they accused me of being ungrateful and said that I'd ruined the day. They sent me to my room, and I haven't really spoken to them since. Am I the idiot? Should I just be grateful that they got me anything at all? Not the idiot. What is wrong with your parents? Why would they think you would like this stuff? Are they trying to change who you are somehow? Or impose their own hobbies on you? Your parents are thoughtless jerks and bad gift givers, and this is a parenting fail. You should be ungrateful, and they ruined your day. They should make it up to you, not send you to your room. Get the receipts, take the gifts back, and exchange them. You're not crying over the gifts. You're crying over not being heard or understood. That's a valid response, and I'm sorry they aren't listening to you. Your parents are showing you that they don't respect your individuality. They're trying to funnel you into a certain presentation that they see as more typically masculine. Sell the gifts and get those desired pens. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Your parents are projecting their view of what you should be onto you instead of letting you be yourself.